Hello, welcome to the session on business research methodology. Today in the session, we're going to discuss about the introductory elements of business research methodology, its definition, meaning, features, objectives, etc. I'm your instructor, Smitha Antony Maliyekil, Assistant Professor ad hoc, Department of Commerce, Christ College, Irinjalakuda. Moving ahead, first we'll introduce about the intended learning outcome of this course. After completing this course, the student would be able to understand and acquire the basic knowledge in business research methods, develop basic skills to conduct survey research and case studies, prepare research proposals, and the students also understand how to solve business problems which could be faced by organizations and discover the causes behind them. Now we'll see the course content. This course content is divided into 5 modules. The first module is about introduction to business research. Second module is research design. Third module is data collection methods. Fourth module is data processing. And the last module is the research report. So the first module is composed of number of elements. The first module talks about the introductions to business research. It consists of definitions, features, types, business research processes, phases, research problem, research hypothesis, theory building including induction and deduction, and areas of business research. Now we can move on to our topic. As we all know, business is very crucial and it is very important to be analyzed and to be researched. So first we'll talk about business. Business means being busy or any kind of activity or enterprise that we are entered into making profit, or it is a goal-oriented activity. And if he talks about research, research is any systematic process of data collection, and in order to increase understanding level of an individual or adding a man's knowledge, we'll use research. And next is methodology or methods. Method is any kind of procedures or methods that we do accomplishing something. Okay, if we mainly focusing on this the term research, we can see that it is in a 2 sections, that is re and search. That means searching again and again, researching a particular problem or a particular situation. So research consists of asking questions that nobody has asked before. When a young Isaac Newton was sitting under an apple tree and he got a hit on his head by a falling piece of apple, that prompted him, that activity prompted him to ask a question, why this apple has fallen down. After asking this question, the researcher need to do the necessary works to complete the particular task or to get a particular solution. We will correlate it with a kind of experiment. Next, the researcher need to communicate the same to a larger audience, that is through the experimentation, that is through how he have got the solution, that is the theory. If you have formulated kind of theory through experimentation, that is termed as communicating it to the larger audience. In this case, it is a law of gravity. So research is any kind of honest approach undertaken by the researcher to add their own knowledge, to understand about a particular phenomena. We can call it as a research. So now we will talk about what is the need of research. If it talks about the need, there are a number of need we can come across. Investigate into a new problem, to understand about a particular phenomena, to find out a particular solutions to the problem, to answer a particular questions, to understand about our environment. There are a number of need we can go through it. So while talking about research, we will go through a number of points. After learning the number of points, we can conclude the number of points into the definitions. Okay, the first point we are going to discuss now is defining and redefining the problem. So what is defining a particular problem? Basically, defining a particular problem is the fuel that drives to a scientific process or a scientific inquiry. So defining problem is all about that involve diagnosing a particular problem, not on its symptoms. We need to correctly identify the problem and what is the problem actually it is. Where is that problem and whether the problem is actually exist or not. And redefining the problem means we need to give a new meaning to it. Okay. Let's consider a hypothetical example. See, a hypothetical company was inquiring a number of factors, and that company was asked the employees but they have given a question to the employee how to improve their productivity. They have given with a question, and while employees was not ready to answer the question because they found very difficult to answer how to improve productivity. They doesn't know how to give the solutions. When they've given with the question, the response was scarcely disappointingly scattered or sparse. So after a short while, they've given with another question. That means they have brainstormed and given another kind of question, that is, how can we make your job more easier? And surprisingly, the response were very easy, and response was very flooded with a number of options, and that options is connected with how to increase productivity. So first we have given the direct question like how to improve productivity, and that time the response was very low. And the second time we have given the same question but in a different meaning, in a different format. That means how we can make your job easier. That came up with a flooded information, flooded number of answers. So defining and redefining the problem is a very important and essential in a research. So after defining the problem, we need to formulate hypothesis or suggested solution. And formulating hypothesis or suggested solution, the name indicates suggested solution. So a hypothesis is a testable tentative statement about what we are intended to see in our findings. So the second one is we need to find out what is the conclusion that we are going to arrive at. Thirdly, we need to collect data, analyze the data, and organize the data in order to make it in an usable format. And fourthly, we need to make some deductions and to reach conclusions. So what is the kind of deductions then? Deductions is the act of understanding a particular phenomena or something based on logical reasoning or a kind of evidences. If we have a logical reasoning, if we have some kind of evidences, and using that evidence we need to reach conclusions. And if we have already reached conclusions, we need to see whether our defined objective is matching with our solutions, and we need to test very carefully that the solutions is matching with a formulating hypothesis. If we combine all these points, we can conclude it into our definition, that is definition by Clifford Woody. First point, we have talked about defining and redefining problem. Second point, we discussed about formulating hypothesis or suggested solution. Third point, we discussed about collecting data, collecting, organizing, and evaluating data. Fourth point, we have discussed about making deductions and reaching conclusions. While compiling all these points, we can conclude it to a definition. That is the definition by Clifford Woody. This research comprised of defining and redefining problem, formulating hypothesis, suggested solutions, collecting, organizing, and evaluating data, making deductions and reaching conclusions, and at last very carefully testing the conclusions whether they fit for the formulation hypothesis. This is all about the definition given by Clifford Woody. Now we will discuss about the features of business research. We know there are a number of features, but here for the presentation I've listed a few of the features. Just think about what we have discussed. We have already discussed research is all about problem oriented. Research is asking questions and finding solution answers to it. It is all about understanding a particular phenomena. It is all about understanding our environment. What is the factors that leading to the environmental problems? There are a number of features we can conclude it with. Here I've mentioned few. We will discuss about the features. First one is systematic and objective oriented. What is systematic then? Systematic means if we are conducting a particular research, it should follow a particular procedure. A systematic procedure should be followed by a research, and it should be very objective oriented. Without formulating an objective, without identifying what we need to research, we cannot conduct research. So it's very important. It should be very objective oriented. It is process oriented. Process means it also involves a number of process through which the researcher is finding solutions to a particular particular problem. It is also termed as a multidisciplinary approach. We know as business, as management, as a number of areas we know. Likewise, research also as a multidisciplinary approach, because the research has taken number of ideas and concepts from different disciplines, so it is termed as multidisciplinary approach. Research is it should be flexible, it should not be rigid. Why it should not be rigid? If it is going to be rigid, we cannot conduct the research, because while we know the number of steps, we will discuss in later the number of steps or the process of research. In that we know a sequential steps to be followed by the researcher to conduct a research. So after getting the third step, we know that the first step that we have the definition of the problem is gone wrong. We need to redefine the problem. So it should not be rigid, it should be very flexible, it should always demand oriented, and it will helps to identify the environmental issues that we are facing with the number of features here I have listed with. Just go through the points. Next, the objectives of business research. Here also I have mentioned few of the objectives. Just think about objective that you can connect with research. We know a business include a number of risks and uncertainties, so the manager or the person who is doing the business should do a lots of planning in order to overcome this kind of uncertainties and risk. So before planning, he need to do a lots of research work, then only he can implement the proper planning and the planned activities in a well established manner. So basically research help the businessman, the organization or a business firm to promote his business in a very economic manner, and also basically it will helps him to understand the problem very easily, what is happening in his environment, what is the problem persist, what is the competitive situation, and understanding all these problems very clearly, and he can this research help him to find solution to all this kind of problems. And this research will also help him to make a proper decisions, a sound managerial decision. Now the most important area of the introduction part, that is the types of business research. There are a number of types. Here I have mentioned 7 types of business research, the basic or the important types of business research. The first business types of business research is pure or fundamental business research. So what is pure or fundamental research? Pure research means it's pure or fundamental or basic. That is a basic research that a person is doing. For example, when we have discussed earlier the Isaac Newton case, why this apple has fallen down, and he has done kind of experiment and he created a new theory, that is a law of gravity. This is all about pure or fundamental research. This research is carried out in order to increase man's knowledge, purely in order to increase man's knowledge or understanding, that termed as pure or fundamental research. Knowledge for the sake of knowledge, pure simply gaining knowledge for the knowledge sake, that is termed as pure or fundamental research. So it is related with principles or laws or rules, and simply it is theory based, and it is often driven by the curiosity of researcher. Curiosity of the researcher. Same thing happened in Isaac Newton case when he when his head is hit by a falling piece of apple. That curiosity prompted him to ask a question: why it has happened? Why this apple was fallen down? So the basic research is driven by the curiosity of the researcher, okay, and it aims at the extension of knowledge and the gaining knowledge for the knowledge sake. And it is the same thing was discussed here also. It is undertaken to gather knowledge for the knowledge sake. And the main thing we need to note here is there is no commercial value and there is no immediate application of this basic or fundamental research, because as we already said that the basic or fundamental research we are doing or conducting only in order to gain our knowledge, gain a new knowledge, or to increase the understanding level, and it is driven by the curiosity curiosity of the researcher. So there is no commercial value for this immediate commercial value or immediate problem, immediate application of this type of research. Okay, and it is lays down the foundation to an applied research. This basic research gives the foundation to applied research. I've given 2-3 examples here. How did the universe begin with? What protons, neutrons and electrons are composed of? So the first type of business research is pure or fundamental or basic research. So next is applied research. After basic research, the next thing we are going to learn is applied research. Applied research is also termed as action research. Why it is action research? Because we are trying to find a solution for a problem. We are trying to find an immediate solution to a problem. So it is also called as an action research, because in a business there are a number of problems we are facing with. In action research action research can be used to find immediate solutions to the business problem. So this aims at finding solutions for an immediate problem facing a society or an industry or a business organization, and it is mainly concerned with testing of theories, and it explains how things can be changed, because always it is related with problem oriented. Problem oriented means application of theories to find solutions to a problem. The same thing we are explaining, that it is need based or goal oriented. Action research we are applying when there is a need, when there is a problem, and we need an immediate solution to that problem. We will use the action or applied research. It makes the practice more better by testing the theory behind it. We have already created theory using the first thing, that is the pure research. In applied research we are trying to test that particular theory, and it is very time and cost bound and high commercial value due to its practical significance. Why it is have a high commercial value? Because we are trying to find solutions or immediate solutions to the business problem. Because of that reason it is having a high commercial value. Examples are here: research aimed at certain conclusions facing a concrete social or a business problem. We'll call it as a applied research. Next type is exploratory or formulative research. It is a preliminary study of a new problem about which the researcher have a little or no knowledge. That means if we are searching for a particular problem, there is no kind of past studies was happened. There is no thoroughly investigation was happened in that particular field. In that particular case, we will conduct exploratory or formulative research. What is exploratory? Exploring new areas, exploring our understanding, exploring into a new problem that we don't know any kind of solutions. That is termed as exploratory or formulative research. Consider a scenario in which a juice bar owner feels that providing a variety of juices will help him to increase his customer base, but he is not sure about whether increasing the variety will leads to increase in customer base. So if he is going past studies and he is not getting any kind of information regarding the same, he need to conduct an exploratory or formulative research. So explorative or formulative research we will carry out when there is no past data, or when there is no information regarding it, or there is no thoroughly investigation was happened in the past, and it is conducted to have a better understanding of the existing problem. It forms the basis for further research. It is always a qualitative in nature. The next we will talk about causal or explanatory research. As the name indicates, causal research means, or explanatory research means, we are trying to find out the cause and effect relationship between the variable. That means the research, this kind of research is always deals with why kind of questions. Why this has happened? Why the change in one variable leads to a change in another variable? This kind of research we will do in causal or explanatory research. So next one is descriptive research. As the name indicate, it describe the facts. It describe the fact and figures of a particular phenomenon. So it is also called as fact-finding investigation. So in this descriptive research, we are trying to solve out what kind of questions. It basically deals with what questions. What questions means the main purpose is the description of the state of affairs as it exists at present, and it tries always portray accurately the characteristics of a particular phenomenon. It usually quantitative in nature, and data needed for the study is collected through observation, interview and mailed questionnaires. And in the basic feature and the main important thing in research, descriptive research, is it is also called ex post facto research. Basically, this ex post facto research is quasi-experimental research, but descriptive is not experimental, but this ex post facto research is quasi-experimental. Why this ex post facto research is considered as descriptive? Because in ex post facto research, the research is undertaken to know about the event that has already happened in the past. We have some information that we have already happened in the past. In that particular scenario, this descriptive research, we will also call it as the ex post facto research. They are also known as after the fact research. Let's consider an example. Research is when a research is carried out to understand a particular voting pattern of a particular state based on gender, occupation, religion of a previous year election. In that research, we will call it as an ex post facto research, because in previous election we have a particular data regarding that particular state, what is their gender, what is their voting pattern. In that kind of research, we will call it as an ex post facto research in descriptive. This descriptive research is also known as cross-sectional research or longitudinal research. Longitudinal means research is carried out over a period of time or a long period of time. So this is all about descriptive research. So the next type is quantitative and qualitative research. For the comparison purpose, I have put it in the same slide. Let's first discuss about the quantitative research. The quantitative research is variable based. It is based on explaining a particular phenomena by collecting data. It is always used for testing a particular theory or a hypothesis. Okay, explaining particular phenomena means by collecting numerical data that are analyzed using mathematically based method. And this collection methods are surveys, experiment and observation, etc. As we already said, it uses quantitative data, and the quantitative research we are confirming or testing something, that is confirming a particular theory or testing a particular hypothesis. Next, we will talk about qualitative research. Qualitative research is attribute based. So in attribute based, it tried to seek answers to questions about why and how people behave in way that they do, and it provided in-depth information about the human behavior. This qualitative data collection methods are interview, focus group, case studies, literature reviews, etc. And we already said that it is attribute based, so we'll use this qualitative information or a qualitative research to understand something, that is kind of concept or a thoughts or a kind of experiment. This is all about the quantitative and qualitative research. Next is theoretical research. Theoretical research we will use to analyze the existing theory or a kind of explanation. There is nothing to do with testing of a particular theory. So theoretical research is all about analyzing a particular theory or an explanation, or existing theory or an existing explanation. So basically we have learned about the 7 types of business research. First, we have learned about the pure and basic. Second, applied research. Third one, we have learned about exploratory research. Fourth one is causal and explanatory. Fifth one, we've discussed about descriptive research. Sixth one, we have combined together qualitative and quantitative research. In seventh type, we have learned about theoretical and empirical research. So in this introduction to business research section, we learned about the definition, its meaning, types of business research, features, and objective. The remaining part we will discuss in another session. Thank you.